What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be checking out the Transformers Studio Series 86 Deluxe Class Brawn. And I'm actually kind of surprised to see this character not only receive a deluxe treatment, but to be a part of the Studio Series 86 line, because unfortunately, he really didn't get a lot of screen time. You know, he was pretty much instantly killed off by the Decepticons, but I do know the design team made a specific mention that no matter how much screen time a character had in that 86 movie, eventually they will all likely receive the Studio Series treatment, which I definitely thought was interesting. You know, I have so many characters on my bucket list, such as a brand new set of G1 Constructicons, which once fully assembled, will combine to form Devastator. Personally, that would throw me back to kind of the highlight of the Studio Series line, you know, 2019/2020, when they gave us the Revenge of the Fallen version. But as you guys can see, Hasbro are once again back at it, because they've probably just gone ahead and delivered the best looking G1 Brawn to date. I mean, this guy looks awesome if we directly compare him to how he actually appeared in the series. Near enough smack onto his character model. I mean, they've done such a good job, especially in terms of the color scheme. I mean, that orange and that kind of dark camo green really do look pretty awesome, and I love the design of Brawn. You know, he's probably one of my favorite mini bots because he's just so distinguishable, and I do know there's a little bit of a relation between Brawn and the He-Man character Man-at-Arms. I think one of them took inspiration from the other. I'm not really sure which way round it goes, but yeah, I definitely do see the similarities. But as we check out that massive Juggernaut looking head design, so awesome. You know, that face piece looks sick, especially with the mouth sculpture, really nicely done, and surprisingly the entire chest and this back neck piece have been fully painted. So yeah, overall looking pretty sick. I love the proportions on this guy. You know, nothing looks wonky again. Very accurate to what we see in the movie. And despite him being a slightly smaller Studio Series Deluxe, they've gone ahead and packed this guy out. I mean, he doesn't have too many hollow spaces. There may be a tiny bit here for the inside of the arm, but that's simply due to transformation. And to be honest, I don't even think it looks that bad. But as we spin this guy around here to the back, I love how from an engineering perspective, they were able to get all four wheels of the vehicle mode smacked into the back of the legs. That is super cool. And the backpack isn't terrible. You know, he did have something which vaguely resembled this in the series, although I just kind of wish maybe it could have shifted up a tiny bit more, because not only would have that allowed for a slightly better range out of the hips, but it also would have perhaps locked in a little better, because it does just kind of float there, which can be a little annoying in terms of posing. But anyways, we get stuck into articulation. The head is awesome, but I would definitely recommend to kind of slightly mistransforming, because it's kind of difficult to get a hold of the head due to the neck piece, but it will go left to right. So yeah, that's pretty sick. The shoulders are on ball joints, so they can rotate the full 360, go out to the sides. We get a very nice bicep rotation, as well as a super sick elbow bend. I mean, despite that only being single jointed, you can get way past 90 out of that, which is awesome. Unfortunately, no wrist rotation, but we do get an actual waist joint, mainly due to transformation. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. The hips will kick forwards that far. As mentioned previously, are a little limited due to the back piece going backwards, but you know, it's not the end of the world. They will kick out to the sides. We get a nice fly rotation, single jointed knees going roughly, I'd say, to 90. And finally, we do get that signature Studio Series 86 ankle rocker pivot. So all in all, undeniably the best version of Brawn, and he's definitely delivered. You know, this guy alongside some of the Rise of the Beast Studio Series figures for this wave were undeniably some of my most anticipated releases. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still hyped for some of the Gamer Edition figures, but you know, the line was definitely off to a little rocky start for the first wave. But yeah, this Brawn is most definitely a return to form for the 86 line, as unfortunately we haven't seen an 86 figure since they released that Leader Class Snarl. But anyway, in terms of accessories, he does include one blaster, which, yes, you can smack into the arm so that he can try and defend himself against the Decepticons. Of course, he does a terrible job and is pretty much annihilated within the first couple of seconds of them arriving on the Autobot shuttle. But yeah, overall, such a striking little Autobot. Definitely a great addition to the Studio Series 86 line. Now, as we jump into a few comparisons, here we have the Studio Series 86 movie Brawn on the left, and the live-action rendition Bumblebee movie Brawn on the right. And not only have Hasbro done such a great job on both fronts, but it's kind of sick to see just how faithful Travis Knight was in translating that G1 design into a live-action movie rendition. It does kind of suck that he won't be staying on for any of the future live-action movie installments, but yeah, both banging deluxe Brawn figures, and I was kind of surprised to see that the movieverse version based on live-action is a little smaller than the G1 release. Next up, here we have him stacked alongside the War for Cybertron Kingdom Huffer, and I thought it was a very cool attention to detail that despite these mini-bots being released across many years, that Hasbro have kind of stayed truthful to their word and have for the most part kept them in scale. So yeah, once we eventually get the rest of them, and I think we're kind of coming to a close now, it's definitely going to cause for a pretty sick looking display. But anyway, cracking on with a few more 86 comparisons, here we have Brawn alongside the 86 movie Hot Rod, the Deluxe Class 86 Perceptor, who I believe still remains to be the largest deluxe class figure that we've so far seen from this 86 movie subline. Buzzworthy Bumblebee Cartoon Accurate 86 Cup. Earthrise / Studio Series 86 Cliff Jumper, Voyager class Ironhide, and I know Hasbro recently revealed that they're going to be doing a Buzzworthy Bumblebee 2-pack of basically a corpse version of Ironhide with a dying Prowl. Now, I'm pretty certain that in the future we may see the same fate for Brawn here. You know, maybe they could package him alongside the upcoming Ratchet, because I think that would be pretty cool, and it'd also be nice to see them maybe swap out that chest unit for a slightly more battle damage component, much like we're going to be seeing on both Ironhide and Prowl. And finally, the Earthrise Leader / Voyager scaled Optimus Prime. Now, as we get stuck into the transformation for Brawn, as I kind of mentioned previously, despite him being a slightly smaller mini-bot scale deluxe, he is still pretty intricate. So to kickstart things off with, you are going to want to come here to the hands and just, you know, slide them into those little hollow cavities. Then you're going to want to rotate here at the bicep, because we do get a tiny little tab here on kind of the shoulder piece that should line up very nicely with this tab that is originally on the back of the arm. So do the same here for this side. So take this piece, slide this inwards, and then rotate the bicep around. This side just has slots because they are just going to snap into each other in just a second, so just bear that in mind. The next step you're going to want to do is take the head and pull it away here from the body. We can then take the arms, and they are on kind of these slider joints, so take these pieces here and slide them all the way down and do the exact same here for this side. We can then take the front piece of the truck. Personally, I thought this was awesome engineering. We rotate this section up and bang, it does form the entire front of the truck, which I thought was awesome. Once you've done that, we can then take the head and basically just snap it there into place. You'll then want to come here to the backpack, detach it, and basically just hinge it out all the way like this, just to allow for a bit of extra clearance. Take the shoulders, hinge these out to the sides, as we're now going to rotate the waist all the way around so the front is now facing the back. Then we're going to come here to these pieces. Now, as you guys can see, we do get a hinge joint, so you're going to want to hinge this here all the way in, just like that, and do the exact same here for this side. Now, as you may have guessed, these tabs on the outside of the arm are going to peg into the slot on the outside of the opposite arm. So when you bring this in, try your best to line everything up. Snap the shoulders together, and then snap the forearms together, just like that. Once you've done that, what I would then recommend to do would be to take these pieces here and fully extend them out. Now, something which I didn't show in robot mode is that you can fully extend them when you have him transformed in bot mode. It kind of gives you a nice throwback to the original G1 Brawn figure, which I thought was a pretty sweet touch. But anyway, come here to this side and do the exact same. You're then going to want to make sure that you take the toes and collapse them in upon themselves, just like this. So do that on both sides, and there is a hinge joint here that you're just going to want to click outwards, just like this. Now, once you've done that for both sides, we do get these tiny little tabs. Now, to be fair, they more or less rest in the notches that are created out of the fist, so just line those up just like this, and as I'm sure you would have guessed, this is all going to fold in upon itself. These toes are going to shoot into these hollow cavities, and that little tab is going to peg itself into that slot. So bring these in, make sure that those toes do slide in there, and then we can just snap that piece there nice and securely into place. Do the exact same for the opposite side, so slide the toe in, snap this piece in as well. Then we can slide down this entire assembly. Now, these tabs here and here are going to smack themselves into these slots, so bring this piece down, snap that into place, and for some finishing touches, take this entire assembly, and these little slots here and here are going to snap into these little tabs, so just peg them in like that. And bang! Here we have Brawn fully transformed into his vehicle mode. So definitely a pretty intricate transformation for a slightly smaller scale deluxe, but much like the robot mode, again, near enough smack on to how it appeared in the original G1 series. And I think one of the biggest takeaways from this specific figure is that Hasbro appeared to be kind of phasing out clear plastic for some of these 86 figures. I mean, it was something we were seeing with a few of the Buzzworthy Bumblebee reissues, where instead of giving us clear pieces, they were painting the windows in this very nice kind of cel-shaded blue, and that's exactly what they've done here for Brawn. Personally, I think this looks 1,000 times better. I mean, not only does it minimize any mismatched color pieces between painted clear plastic and solid plastic, but it just looks so much more accurate to how they appear in the animation. So I hope this is something that we can see going forwards. Unfortunately, they decided against painting the rear window, but I do like the additional detail that we get out of this back piece, and yeah, all in all, a very solid looking truck. You know, despite those wheels being mushroom pegged on, they still roll just as well had they been pin joints. So it is cool to see them finally fix the tolerance issues with this type of assembly. And in terms of weapon storage, we can take his blaster, smack it into the additional tire that we have here on the roof, and bang, I guess that could be Brawn's kind of off-road armored mode. So yeah, pretty decent truck to accompany a wicked looking robot mode. Now, as we check out a few comparisons here for vehicle mode, I'm more or less going to be sticking with everybody that I showcased in bot mode. So, first up, here we have 86 movie Brawn alongside the live-action movie rendition. So, a Cybertronian vehicle alongside an Earth-based form. Not really fair in terms of a comparison, but as you guys can see, pretty much smack on in terms of their overall length. Here he is stacked up alongside the War for Cybertron Kingdom Huffer, and to kind of go back to my earlier point, so great to see them sticking truthful to the scale for these characters, despite there not only being quite a few years between the two releases, but also them being from completely different toy lines. So yeah, I definitely like the way these are looking. You know, it's going to be awesome again once we get the full team of mini-bots. Here he is alongside this Studio Series 86 Voyager Hot Rod, who I think at the moment stands to be the gold standard for Studio Series 86 figures. I mean, this is just such an exceptional release. Super excited to see it again released for the upcoming Shattered Glass Rodimus, but yeah, as you guys can see, I don't think they fare up too badly. Here he is alongside the Studio Series Buzzworthy Bumblebee 86 Cup. This was really where they were kind of bringing in that solid plastic with that nice kind of blue paint over the top. So yeah, personally, I think this looks miles better than the clear plastic. I really hope they stick with this going forwards, especially for that upcoming 86 Ratchet. And to kind of expand further upon that, here he is with the 86 Studio Series Cliff Jumper. Originally was released under Earthrise and then was repacked, reissued under Buzzworthy Bumblebee. So yeah, those painted blue windows just look miles better in my opinion. Here he is alongside the Studio Series 86 Voyager Ironhide. Would have been awesome had this also had solid blue plastic, because I know that's something that the upcoming Buzzworthy Bumblebee reissue of Ironhide, the kind of corpse/dead version of himself, is going to have. But you know, to be honest with you, I didn't think the plastic looked too bad on this guy, but as you can see, he was definitely a victim of the colour mismatch, which is why I now think they've began to phase out clear plastic, because yeah, that just really didn't look too great at all, did it, in vehicle mode? But yeah, that's roughly how these two stack up alongside each other. And then finally, here we have him alongside the Earthrise Leader/Voyager class Optimus Prime. Now, as we get stuck into reverse transformation to kickstart things off with, you are going to want to come here to the rear bumper and just hinge this piece all the way up. The next thing you're going to want to do is loosen up these pieces away from the main front grille. So just attach those like that, and then we can take the entire backpack and hinge this section here all the way up like this. Then what I'd personally recommend to do would be to take these hinge joints, just kind of extend them here out to the sides, and then detach those tiny little slots. More than likely they've probably come unpegged already, but just bring those down like that. We can then fully straighten out these hinge joints on both sides and then just snap these pieces here into place. You'll then want to take the toes and the heel spur and just flip those outwards just like this. You'll then want to come here to the arms. Now for transformation going back into robot mode, you can basically just straighten out the hands now. It doesn't really compromise anything later on, and then we can just split these shoulders and forearms and bring these panels here all the way down until they soft click into place. The next step you're going to want to do is take the main chest piece, pull this piece here forward, as we're then going to take these sections, shimmy them up, and there is a tiny little circular slot that will peg into that tab. So snap that in there, do the exact same here for this side. We can then take the front bumper of the vehicle mode, rotate this here all the way around, which again I think is so awesome from an engineering perspective, and then just peg this piece in there. We can then rotate the forearms forward and take the entire waist joint, again rotate it all the way around to the front, and for some finishing touches, there is a tiny little tab that's going to slide into this slot, but as I mentioned previously, I definitely wish not only could have it gone up slightly higher, but that there would have been some additional slots, because it really does just kind of float there. But bang, there is Brawn back in his robot mode. And so, wrapping up on this review for the Studio Series 86 Deluxe Class Brawn. I guess to kind of really round up this review, this is the best version of Brawn that Hasbro have ever brought out, and I'm not really too sure on how to expand upon that, but wicked robot mode, great articulation, amazing detail, and especially paint and colour, great transformation, you know, surprisingly pretty complex for a slightly smaller deluxe release, and the vehicle mode is just as nice looking, just as accurate as the robot mode, and I am so happy to see them phasing out transparent plastic in replacement of painted solid windows. So yeah, this guy definitely gets a recommendation from me. You know, it's been quite a while since we've reviewed a Studio Series 86 figure, and this guy definitely is a return to form and a great re-entry back into that subline. I'd love to get your thoughts on this figure down in the comment section below. What other 86 movie figures would you guys like Hasbro to release? As I said beforehand, would absolutely kill for some updated Constructicons, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.